Looking human beings, huh? Mr. President, God bless you. Great job. Thank you very much. Really fantastic. Thank you, Cheryl. Anything we can do, let us know. Thanks, fellas.
Verbal or life.
Only 45 more days to the election, and more people are speaking out. In this episode, let's take a look at Jesse Watters' Primetime and what news is out there. Welcome to Verbal on Life. My name is Noel, battling MS. I'm here reporting. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and be sure to give it a like before you go anywhere. All right? So let's take a look at Jesse Watters.
Welcome to Jesse Watters Primetime. Tonight,
when we drove through those cornfields, just about every line had a Trump sign.
Yeah.
Flags everywhere, billboards everywhere.
Kamala Harris is losing the election.
We don't know who the hell she is. Leave us alone. We're making hamburgers.
It'd be interesting to see if he surrendered, if there was in fact some sort of weapon, and why was he out and about a year later.
The deep state admits they let Trump's assassin slip through the cracks.
They just released a report confirming that Iran actors hacked into the Trump campaign's email accounts. Iran doesn't exactly like me.
Biden allowing the Iranians to hack the Trump campaign.
I don't know what the hell they found. Couldn't have been too exciting.
Plus,
this is a real tattoo.
Crazy.
grab your popcorn. Trump already has his.
Oh, look, I got to get some. Look at that stuff. I want to have it. We got to get it.
My mom just got a bag of that, actually.
Good, is it good stuff? Good.
She says it's the best.
Is that the best?
She says it's the
If
best.
it is, I'll be sending. I'll be in Washington, D.C., hopefully in the Oval Office. I'll send for popcorn.
Appreciate that.
This movie's over in 42 days, and you can decide how it ends. So go vote so we know the ending on election night. But first, we got to make sure we look good.
What a nice looking man. Who is that? Oh, that's Trump. What a wonderful looking person. I'm just checking out the hairstyle as I'm talking. I don't know.
Yeah. Trump is too funny, man. He could take a break and make jokes like this, like comedian in chief.
No, I'm checking, I'm talking, I'm looking up, I'm saying, I don't love it. Yeah, I really don't love it. What the hell can you do? There's nothing I can do about it.
And they say the man doesn't have an ego. He just loves that he's alive.
You know my all-time favorite chart in history, right? I have a chart that's my all-time favorite. I love that. Is it around? Is it around?
The man gets to celebrate that he's alive, man, dodging bullets.
I love that chart. I sleep with that chart every night. I kiss it. I love it. Because that chart saved my life. I look to the right. Bing. If I didn't look to the right, I wouldn't be here with you today. I guarantee you that.
Alvin Bragg's going to indict him for having an affair with the chart. But good luck trying to find him. He'll be at McDonald's.
Remember one other thing, and I think it's terrible. She lied about McDonald's. She said I was a worker in McDonald's. And I stood over the French fries. I'm going to a McDonald's over the next 2 weeks. And I'm going to stand over the French fries because I want to see what her job really wasn't like, because she never. I stood over the French fries, and that was tough. It was hot outside, and it was hot over. She never worked there. It was a lie.
It would be great if Trump just shows up to McDonald's and takes pictures and videos standing by the fries.
Trump should take orders at the drive-thru. It'll be the only time Trump's ever taken orders in his life. America would love it. Retail politics, baby. Trump's cooking fries, buying burgers for crypto bros, handing moms hundos for groceries, jumping from the Rust Belt to the Sun Belt. What's Kamala up to besides playing rope-a-dope?
There is an effort to rope-a-dope this thing right to the election, in my view. And the other side's done 40 or 50 interviews with J.D. Vance. I think I don't have to take my shoes off to count on my fingers and toes how many interviews that she's done along with Governor Walz. And that looks like a deliberate effort just not to face the hard questions and to try to, I don't know, I think Americans might finally say, you know, I don't like the way this is working. We'd like to see questions asked and answers provided.
And you know what's crazy? The Democrats, no matter what, people that are going to vote for her, no matter what she says, no matter what she does, only based on the fact that she's a Democrat. That is crazy. So the only hope we got is to get the independent to side with the correct team, with the team that just says things that make sense to them. But otherwise, man, it's kind of sad that there's some people who chose vote blue no matter who.
For all these things, we may never get them.
The country hasn't seen Kamala since Friday. Where'd she go? Did Pelosi stage another coup?
The Harris campaign has just been trying to kind of float above it all, to float above the immigration arguments, float above, some of the nitty-gritty details on some of this policy.
How long can the media keep the Kamala campaign levitating? Most journalists are treating Kamala like a child, not to be seen or heard. Information is power, and the Democrats don't want voters to have the power to make an informed decision. The more uninformed Americans are, the better Kamala's chances. The more you know about Kamala Harris, the less you like her. Kamala Harris knows that, and so does the media. So they're in cahoots and keeping her in a safe room so she can't do any damage. Kamala's been vice president for 4 years, and the pundits are saying, she's still new to this.
She's not a perfect candidate. She came into this race 45 days ago. Some of her positions have changed, and there are questions that she hasn't answered. But what we know is the value set she brings to the office.
God forbid something had happened to Trump and Pence got the nomination and then went underground. Would I be telling you guys Pence only came into this 45 days ago? We know his values. I wouldn't look you in the eye and lie to you. Kamala Harris has been in politics her whole life. She's not new to this. She's a career politician. She doesn't have COVID. She's not having a bad hair day like Trump.
It feels like she knows that the least she says, the better it is for her. Just like Biden won last time, just by going in, hiding in his office or hiding in the basement. That's what they used to say. So Biden was able to do it, and now she's trying to do it. Crazy playbook.
Ross Barkin writes, Kamala's running to control a nuclear arsenal that could annihilate civilization 100 times over. We're not allowed to open up the hood or kick the tires. She's only running to be leader of the free world. There's a moral and civic argument for Harris to answer the questions. She wants us to hand her the keys to the nuclear codes, but won't answer why she pushed Russia into China's arms. Why she let 20 million illegals into the country, why mortgage rates are sky high, or why small businesses are taking losses.
Every year we've been up, except for the last 3 years because of this inflation. It's exactly what you said. The prices are up, but our sales are down. So we've had to get super creative in how we use our space to try to.
Prices go up and yet your sales are down.
Yeah. So it's been brutal.
The economy is the biggest issue of the election, and her people can't even tell you what her plan is. Watch.
What is Harris's plan? We're waiting.
Okay, there's a lot of aspects to it in regards to looking at it online. She talks about certain things in regards to advancing the first federal ban on price gouging on food and groceries. States of America.
Is that currently happening?
In regards to I don't know exactly if that's currently happening or not because I'm not privy to that type of information.
Okay. It seems like you're having a hard time articulating her plan. And
I'm not. Honestly, that's not true. Please, I'm constantly being interrupted by you, which, as a woman, I think is disrespectful.
As a woman, using the woman card on another woman. Come on now.
I'm trying to speak. Every time I try and speak, you speak over me.
Okay. Final thought.
Thank you so much for having me.
The Trump plan's pretty clear. Tax and regulation cuts, energy independence, and trade deals that keep products made in America.
Under my plan, American workers will no longer be worried about losing your jobs to foreign nations. Instead, foreign nations will be worried about losing their jobs to America. Going to bring them back.
We need Harris to do that, to go ahead and talk to the people, tell them what she's going to do.
And it won't even be difficult. Your only worry will be deciding which job to take. There will be plenty of them. That will be your biggest problem. Darling, which company should I go with?
I did it before and I'll do it again. That's his message. Trump's framing the election as the American dream versus the tax queen. I sound like Al Sharpton.
Yeah.
Kamala Harris is the tax queen, and she's coming for your money. She's coming for your pensions, and she's coming for your savings unless you defeat her in November. So vote Trump and your incomes will soar, your net worth will skyrocket, your energy costs and grocery prices will come tumbling down, and we will bring back the American dream.
Yeah, American dream is coming back.
Bigger, better, and stronger than ever before.
Kamala's a bad candidate who can't defend her bad policies. And the media won't talk about the most important story of this election. Kamala Harris is losing the election. That's from the American Spectator, and Primetime agrees. If the election were held today and you vote like the polls say you will, Kamala is going to lose. Kamala performing much worse than Biden and Hillary, and those elections were decided by 0.3% and 0.2% in some states. CNN said if the polls are as wrong as they usually are, Trump wins.
Yeah.
No one's talking about this. A new Quinnipiac poll has Trump ahead 48-47. Kamala Harris sees the polls. It's why she's begging Trump for another debate. She's even considering visiting the border. She's had 4 years to visit the border. She's going to do a photo op right before the election. She's stealing his policies on crypto and tax cuts on tips. And have you ever seen a Democrat fight this openly for the white vote?
And Kamala Harris used to say, we got to stop deporting people. But now that she's running for president, she's flipping it. Block all borders. Don't let anybody in. Okay.
It's not working.
When we drove through those cornfields, just about every line had a Trump sign.
Yeah.
Flags everywhere, billboards everywhere, Trump campaign offices almost on every other block.
Kamala Harris was the most unpopular vice president in modern history. And we're talking Dick Cheney, Al Gore, Lyndon Johnson, Joe Biden. No offense to those guys. Her approval rating was in the 20s. And then the donors handed her the nomination, and we're supposed to believe she's sensational all of a sudden. Even Oprah was bored. Kamala's staff quits to work for someone else. Then there's people who work for someone else who quit to go work for Trump.
Whoa.
The Trump campaign is turning to people like Stephen Kale. Did you ever expect?
My man went to work for Trump. That's what's up.
Doors after he witnessed the former president get shot at his Butler rally in July.
What I saw that day, I just wanted to help out.
For Kale, that means outworking Harris volunteers and staying on message with younger voters as much as possible.
I started off by talking about the economy, their cost of living, especially if they're in college, paying higher prices for gas, utilities.
This country took years to develop. Generations fought, built, and created the greatest civilization on earth. But look how quickly it can decay in just 4 years. Your neighborhoods don't look the same. Streets aren't as safe. Your paychecks aren't as fat.
Nope.
That typical American confidence in the future is rattled. The language that we use is under assault. Things we took for granted as eternal. The differences between men and women, right and wrong, the rule of law, under constant attack. This election is about more than Trump and Harris. It's about the future of the American Republic.
And we need people to wake up, especially the independent voters, the ones that are going to decide this election. Those are the ones that need to wake up and see the problem of continuing this Kamala Harris America.
Our cultural fabric our economic well-being, our ability to have it better than our parents had it, and an opportunity to live healthy lives and not be divided by race and class. 4 more years of what we've been exposed to would permanently injure this nation.
Crazy.
We have to trust the common sense of the American people to make the right decision on November 5th. I have that trust. Do you? Former White.
And not just November 5th, but there's some states that already started voting. So those people who voted ahead of, you know what? I think the blue, no matter who Democrats are going to be voting, because that's no matter what, that's who they're going to go for. And same with the Republican teams, those who are red, no matter who it is. So is the independent voters come November 5th.
White House press secretary and co-host of Outnumbered, Kayleigh McEnany. Kayleigh, you've studied these campaigns. There's momentum shifts, you know. First Trump was up, then Kamala came in, and then she came up, and then things settled, and then she got hot, and now she's fading. How does it feel now? It feels like Trump's back in the driver's seat.
Without a doubt. I was reading, I believe it was a CNN analyst who said, you know, the person who walks away with the media saying they won the debate, which is what happened for Kamala, typically gets a huge bounce. And she got the smallest bounce, if you could even call it that, of anyone in the last century. I mean, this is not going well for her. And the number, if I'm Kamala Harris and I'm going to sleep at night and trying to rest peacefully, the number that would keep me up at night is the Real Clear Politics average. I have a 2% lead, and Biden had a 7% lead. And when you go state by state, Biden has, in most cases, anywhere from 2 to 8 times as greater of a lead than Kamala Harris has right now. And that's before you get to Trump leading in all the Sunbelt states, which would also keep me up at night. And by the way, I'll just add this in there. I know I'm throwing a lot of data at you, Jesse, but the early vote is looking really good. Democrats' advantage has shrunk by 35% in Pennsylvania and 15% in North Carolina. I would not be sleeping right now if I were Kamala Harris.
Well, she is. She's been off the map for what, since Friday? Why would you do this? She did this after her speech at the convention. She disappeared for a week. Why is she completely off the playing field right now?
It's incomprehensible. And then this morning I wake up and I see this chart in the media that's like, Trump's not doing rallies. Where is he? And then I turn on my TV, 1 p.m. There he is giving this huge economic speech in Pennsylvania. A massive rollout of new policies, a comprehensive, well thought out strategy. And then I look at Kamala's schedule on Monday morning and she's not anywhere until Wednesday. I guess she's taking it for granted. I don't know what her internal pollsters are telling her. Maybe she borrowed Biden's internal pollsters who kept feeding him these fluffy numbers. But yeah, I don't know why she's just gone for 5 days.
Yeah, well, every time she speaks to the press, it's a disaster. Maybe that's why. We'll see how it goes. We just heard that they both have agreed to a town hall on Telemundo or Univision, not together, but individually. And that'll be later in October. We'll see how that shakes out. Kayleigh McEnany, we'll see you on Outnumbered.
That was your idea. That was your idea, the town hall.
I'm not taking any credit for it. Thank you. Former Democrat Illinois Governor Rod Blagojevich is here. So Donald Trump, big economic speech this week. He's been doing a lot of rallies, a lot of retail politics. How does Kamala close here? I'm not sensing a strong close.
What I'm seeing, and I think we're all seeing, is she's running a campaign for president the way a football team would run a prevent defense and try to run out the clock by hiding. And I think the reason is her internal polls are showing that every time she goes out and tries to talk to voters, she loses ground. I really believed that the more people saw Kamala Harris and recognized that she had little or nothing to say about any issues of importance, that she would dodge issues, mislead the public with statements when she couldn't answer the question at that first debate. Are we better off now than we were 4 years ago? And she started talking about her so-called middle-class background, even though her parents were both tenured professors at the ultra-liberal college of the University of California. I think the people are catching on, and she's losing ground every time she goes out. So they're decided they're better off to just hide her. And, you know, I've known something about elections, Jesse. I've run several of them. I won them all. I consider myself an expert when it comes to that. The only thing I lost was that second trial. It was rigged and it was unanimous. But I can tell what campaigns are doing well and what campaigns aren't. And that grassroots stuff that you showed earlier, those signs in Wisconsin, the signs in Pennsylvania, volunteers working and knocking on doors. Those are the things that indicate the candidates that are winning far more than whatever the public polls are suggesting or saying. And you can tell by the candidates' actions and how they run their race, whether their internal polls are corresponding with some of the public polls that we're seeing. And I would submit to you that based on the way Trump is running his campaign and the way she's hiding, Trump's polls are showing he's winning. And she's losing.
All right. A self-described expert has never lost a race at the ballot box. Rod Blagojevich, thanks so much for sharing your insight on Jesse Watters Primetime. We always appreciate it.
Thank you.
Trump's assassin and child porn. New development. Fox News alert, the Department of Justice has charged Ryan Ruth with attempted assassination, meaning life in prison if convicted. Judge Eileen Cannon, you may remember her from the Trump document situation, is going to be presiding over the case. 9 days ago, Ruth almost murdered the former president, and now the feds are leaking their excuses. How could U.S. intelligence, armed with an unlimited budget, miss a loose cannon like Ruth, an ex-con who traveled in and out of Ukraine trying to build an army of Afghan mercenaries? Well, the feds have an explanation, and it's one of their all-time favorites. Quote, U.S. authorities did not formally track Americans and kept no running list of those who were going to Ukraine, according to a U.S. national security official. But they did investigate some Americans who tried to bring ammunition, knives, or Kevlar. In other instances, they received tips about certain individuals who displayed troubling behavior or had committed crimes while in Ukraine. Some who traveled there were previously known to U.S. law enforcement for prior crimes committed domestically. Translation, they knew all about Ruth, but he fell through the cracks. Sure. Ukraine is basically a Cold War black site with spies, weapons, traffickers, and guns for hire. Any American with a weapons of mass destruction conviction on his rap sheet who spends 8 months hanging out in the Ukrainian army barracks, recruiting Muslim fighters, and buying drones from Eastern European arms dealers has to be picked up for questioning when he returns home. That's got to happen. The feds have a program just for guys like Ruth. The Department of Homeland Security in 2022 launched an interagency effort to scrutinize Americans returning from Ukraine's war zone. The previously unreported effort to aim to identify Americans who might turn violent upon their return. Ruth checks all those boxes. He was identified to the State Department by a former CIA agent and to Homeland Security by an American nurse. The nurse flagged Ruth twice to the Biden administration.
He had very bizarre and volatile tendencies. As a nurse, I'm a mandated reporter, and we are also trained to determine when someone is a threat to themselves or others. I determined after knowing Ryan for a while that he was a threat to others. So I felt that it was necessary that he be reported to the proper authorities.
Ruth was flagged to the Biden administration a third time when he returned to Hawaii. Customs agents told Homeland Security to look into him, and Mayorkas dropped the investigation. This isn't falling through the cracks. This is walking through a wide open door. The FBI even got a tip about Ruth in 2019 over guns and never followed up with them. Congress needs to immediately hold hearings and bring in Blinken at State, Burns at CIA, and Mayorkas at Homeland Security, and Wray at the FBI, and ask them under oath, what exactly were you told about Ryan Ruth? And what did you do about it? Period. Subpoena all of the documents, because Ruth was all over the Biden administration's radar. Meanwhile, Ruth's son is now in custody. The FBI arresting Orrin Ruth for possession of child pornography.
That man looks so weird. That he didn't know how to raise a child. Look at that grown-ass man.
Something the feds say they discovered while serving a search warrant at his house as part of their investigation into his father. Little Ruth had hundreds of files of adults engaging in sexual acts with children as young as 6.
It's crazy.
Now the feds have taken the father and the son completely off the playing field. We still Need to know about Ruth's fiance and this mysterious witness who suddenly came forward with a secret box containing letters Ruth wrote? Missouri Senator Josh Hawley joins me now. Senator, we've now known there's been at least 3, maybe 4 instances of the Biden administration, the federal agents getting flagged to this guy, Ruth, and not doing anything about it. We have to get answers from them. Is that going to happen?
Yeah, well, it needs to happen because until it happens, Jesse, the president is not safe. President Trump, I don't know how anybody who goes to the rallies can be safe. And all we're getting so far, let me just emphasize, is stonewalling. What we know about Ruth, what we know about the Crooks assassination attempt is really from whistleblowers, much of which you have reported. I mean, these are the people, these brave whistleblowers coming forward who is telling the public and telling Congress what's happened because Secret Service, FBI, DHS, they're just stonewalling. They're just trying to run out the clock. And Congress has got to put these people under oath, subpoena these documents, and get the answers. And I want to say to every whistleblower out there, please come forward. Please keep coming to us so that we can learn the facts.
Now, have you learned anything additional from your whistleblowers? I know you've been in touch with many of these people in the service and outside. Your staff's done a great job.
Yes, in fact, we have a new whistleblower report tonight, Jesse. Whistleblower with direct knowledge of the Trump campaign and the Secret Service and their interactions tell us that the Secret Service recently told the Trump campaign they could not secure a rally for Donald Trump in the state of Wisconsin. Now, this is interesting because it directly contradicts what the Secret Service Director, Rowe, said last week when he said, oh, Trump is getting exactly the same level of protection as Kamala Harris and the sitting president. Really, because Kamala Harris just held a rally in Madison, Wisconsin, and I am told by a whistleblower with direct knowledge of the situation that Secret Service says that Trump should not and could not have a rally in Wisconsin because Secret Service could not protect him and adequately staff it. This calls into question, Jesse, what they're saying about staffing. It calls into question what they're saying about parity between Harris and Trump. And once again, it underscores the fact they're not telling us the whole truth.
Yeah, it is really severely damaging the ability of Donald Trump to speak to the American people a month before an election. And we don't have a democracy if we can't do that. All right, Senator Hawley, thank you so much. Great work. We'll talk to you soon.
You.
After spending years ignoring Ruth, the feds are now publicizing his manifesto, sharing it in open court. Ruth putting a $150,000 bounty for anybody who can finish the job and take out Trump. The Democrats are creating an environment through language and lawfare that's incredibly hostile and dangerously violent towards 45. The Trump family can't believe Biden and Harris are doing this. They can't believe it. Garland is claiming that if they didn't release the bounty manifesto to the world, they would have had to have let the assassin go.
In just the last few days, new information was developed, and it was put in evidence in the court for the detention hearing, which was necessary to ensure in the short term that the defendant in the matter would not be released while the investigation continues.
Garland's predecessor, Bill Barr, says that's baloney, says the move served no purpose other than to risk inciting further violence. And Barr points out that Garland could have simply redacted the calls to arms or submitted the letter under seal. And when are we going to learn more about this secret box that this mysterious witness came forward with? Allegedly packed with cell phones, ammo, a manifesto, tools, metal pipes. How big was this box? And if someone gives me a box and says, hold on to this, and then leaves, I'm opening that damn box. I don't care how long we've been friends. I'm not in that kind of world. I'm not going to sit around with a box that could have a murder weapon in it or a pipe bomb or narcotics. This guy sounds like a co-conspirator. Why hasn't he been arrested? Former CIA general counsel and author of Dangerous Injustice, How Democrats Weaponize the DOJ to Protect Biden and Persecute Trump, Joe Sweeney, joins me now. Joe, this mysterious witness with this surprise box coming forward just now.
Crazy story, man. That guy's a snitch. Jesse Primetime.
Things I learned in researching and writing my book was the playbook that the Biden-Harris administration uses in dealing with the American people and releasing information to the American people. And I saw this as I researched my book, looking at presidential statements, White House statements, Biden DOJ statements, and then comparing them to the truth that later came out. And what I learned was, their baseline is lack of transparency. And if they are releasing details, it's details that they have determined are politically beneficial to them. And if something is not politically beneficial to them, what they do is they either don't talk about it or hide it or bury it, or they use very vague terminology to hide what is actually going on. And so when I looked at the contents of the mystery boxes, I looked at it with that experience. In full disclosure, I also served in the Army as an airborne ranger qualified infantry officer for many years, and I know how to build bombs myself. And so when I looked at the contents of the box, the first thing I focused on was the vagueness, right? They talked about construction materials and tools. And I thought, well, a 2x4 is a construction material, but that's not in the box. Tools, I've got a very nice compound miter saw. That's not fitting in a box. Why wouldn't they give us the details? It's just a box. It could have only held so much. Why wouldn't they provide the details? And I think I know why. I look at the contents of that box, and what I see is a bomb-making kit. And I don't think they want the American people to know that, because that is granular detail on left-wing extremist violence, and that doesn't fit their paradigm.
That is such a great point. When you look at the contents of the box, it adds up to a pipe bomb, potentially. Dangerous injustice. I've started the book, How Democrats Weaponize the DOJ to Protect Biden and Persecute Donald Trump. Highly endorse it. Sweeney, thank you so much for joining Jesse Waters Primetime. We'll have you back soon.
Thank you for having me, Jesse. It's an honor.
All right, we're going to leave it there. If you enjoyed the content so far, be sure to give this video a like. So like that, the video can get sent out to more people and we could build this platform, because you have to be verbal on life. And thank you so much to the new subscriber that just came on. Really appreciate it. And again, it's all be verbal on life. My name is Noel, battling a mess, because to have the Democratic Party take over in November is going to be a crazy 4 years. No, the country is not going to come to an end, but it's just going to be tough 4 years that we have to unravel or that we have to fix, because she's just going to tear things apart. If Trump comes in, it's with the hope that he clears the swamp and fixes things. And I think it's the only hope, a non-politician going into office who got nothing to win, nothing to lose. He is an old man, businessman who knows how to run a company, a giant company. And the United States being the biggest company in the world, I think is an excellent challenge for that man who's super intelligent. That is Trump 2024. Again, if you enjoyed this content, give it a thumbs up. Peace.
Verbal or life.